What's up, AfterBuzzers, and welcome to the Expanse After Show. Today is episode 10, this Cascade. It's actually just Cascade, but yeah, we'll get into what that means. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
What's up? Because I was saying the Cascade, I'm like, no, technically it's just Cascade. You know, because sometimes there's the matters in the title of something.
Right.
Yeah, so anyway.
It's all good.
I worked at a video store, so you know, it was some places would do that, where it's the something, or it would be the second. Anyway. Random shenanigans, guys. My name is Kari Lane. You can find me online at Kari D Lane. That's Karidlane. And a quick little shout out to Espionage Cosmetics. These sparkly little nail polish things. They're nail wraps, actually, and they're called For Science. And I was showing them to Maria beforehand. If you check me out on Instagram and Twitter, I have photos showing them off.
Yeah, they're very, very cool. By the way, I'm like,
it's appropriate for the show.
It's very appropriate for the show, and I'm also pretty jealous because they look really like a lot cooler than just my simple pink.
They're very cute though.
Hey guys, I'm Maria Cavassuto, and then you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Maria Cavassuto.
And then Rick unfortunately couldn't be here this week, but he will hopefully be back for next week. All right, so jumping into it, we get the Gannymede station, and we have Prax and Amos, and he's like, how many kills have you actually done? I don't remember, or I'm not sure. I'm not surprised. That's a very Amos reply.
It is a very Amos reply, and I think Prax also goes to call him a homicidal maniac or something like that, which I don't think Amos really sees as an insult, even though he's like, hey, you know,
gets the job done.
Yeah, gets the job done. And technically, you know, he doesn't kill the guy that we'll talk about in a second. So technically, he's not.
Right? And then, oh, cute. We do have a live chat going, so if you are watching this live, feel free to join us in the chat. I love that you guys are all talking so much. I was like trying to read through it, but I'm like, oh, too many. But if you're watching this later, comment down below on your thoughts on the episode. And then Okami says, I think I'm in love with Bobbie. Right? I know,
super cool.
It's been a while, but I think I'm still in love with her. In terms of, yes, no.
Yeah.
Vassarala too, man.
I know, she's my number one.
I can't. She's my number. I'm
I
like,
can't.
Me too. Before, I mean, I'm just like, yeah, I like her. But as it went on and I'm reading the books, oh, I finished Caliban's War. Yay!
Yay! Go
so
Kari!
Clap, clap, clap,
silent clap.
You're like, oh, damn, now you're like way more ahead.
I know, no, but I've just let that go. You know, I'm just like, whatever.
By season 3, maybe you can catch up.
Sure. I'm probably not going to read them just yet because, like, I'm going to have to separate myself from the show first before I can really, like, dig into them. Because this happened to me with Game of Thrones. I was watching Game of Thrones and I'm like, hey, let me check out the books. They sound awesome. Yeah. And I had, like, I know that obviously the books and the show deviate a lot after, like, season 2, but I really did have a lot of trouble kind of, like, following it, and I realized that I was zoning in and out. I have very short attention span for these kind of things, hence the subtitles. Again, just gonna bring that up. Shout out to the subtitles. So yeah, maybe once I've separated myself from the show, I'll take the books out for a spin.
Right. Well, it is one of those, if you think you already know what's going to happen, you can almost tune out.
Yeah.
Which is the first one. Yeah. A little bit, because it's very similar. But with Caliban's War, they had a lot of things different from the show. So.
Okay, cool. Well, that's good to know.
But if you guys haven't read the books, I do recommend them. So then we get May and Strickland. We find out they are not dead because of the information board, which is pretty cool. And which you kind of thought that too. You're like, no, they're not dead.
No, of course not. I just feel like that would be such a throwaway.
Mm-hmm. Then we have Prax. He gets to his work area, but it's kind of like this holding area because of the war-torn, essentially, Ganymede, which is like, he's like, wow, it used to be pretty.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. I mean, because you can tell that things are just obviously not going to get back up to speed.
Not anytime soon. But the doctor was saying, she's like, we're on the right path.
Sure.
It's like,
but it's
going to take you a long time, and it won't be the same.
But you know how people sometimes say things to just kind of like appease the moment, appease the people, whatnot? I feel like that would be one of those situations. Nobody's going to let it be known that things aren't working well. You know, it's just going to arouse the masses.
So the artifact in the chat says, Bobbie is the type of girl you just keep as a friend. No, that's a whole hunk of nice looking lady that, why would you just keep her as a friend?
Well, I mean, to be honest, it just depends on who you are. Some people are into that. Some people aren't into that. It just depends who you are.
Lil Trishgig says, she's a warrior, let's get that straight. That's true. Very true. But I will say, it is entertaining in the book that they point out essentially that Alex has a thing for Bobbie.
In the book.
In the book.
Okay.
Which is funny. I love it. Well, because they're the two Martians.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
there's nothing at this point, like, really big, and this is not really spoilers, guys. It's more just, like, a cute thing. Like, oh, alternative, like, option of what could happen.
Right.
And then even Holden recognizes she's an amazing-looking lady, and it mentions that he used to have a thing for, like, a Polynesian girl in Hawaii and, like, his past or something like that. Which makes it make sense of why he also has a thing for Naomi.
Yeah.
He likes them dark girls.
Well, yes.
That golden skin.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Bobbie's like
And curvy.
fine.
He likes curvy.
Just saying. And curvy. But I think Bobbie's fine. But, you know, again, not everybody's into the same things. That's all.
Yes. Then we have Nguyen with talking about Bobbie's lying, which I still don't like that dude. And Avasarala is like, I want more information.
Of
which
course.
We're all like, of course she does.
Of course. And then you know that that's going to be happening by the end of the episode.
Yes.
So really at that point, I'm just like, okay, so how are we doing this? Because, you know, it's going to happen.
But then they point out they're just using peace as a distraction. And she's like, oh, I wish you were wrong. And it's like, oh.
I know.
But,
Isn't that a sad reality?
And then, yeah, Bobbie's not available. We can't talk to her any longer. You're like, right. Yeah, she's
Right.
resting.
Yeah, quote unquote
Right?
resting.
You're like, nope.
Which really means quarantine, informational quarantine.
Yeah. And then everybody's talking about Bobbie's fall. We'll get there, guys. We'll get there.
Oh, dang. Whew. Yes.
And well, speaking of Bobbie, then we have this part where they're just grilling. Oh, I'm sorry, I totally blanked on his name, but the gentleman who comes in to question her, which Avasarala is like, who is that guy? And they're like, well, he's a family friend.
Right.
So then they didn't say his name either. So, but that guy grilling her for the truth and how truth and fact are not the same thing.
I know.
I beg to differ, sir.
Well, in their interest, it's not.
Yes.
But for our interest, yes, it is. Like, come on.
I mean, the only way you could maybe get away with that is how the idea when there's like an accident, they talk about how eyewitness accounts can often be very wrong because you can have like 5 people witness the same thing and they'll say different things.
And the person
They should have gone that angle
right, but
to
I mean,
convince her.
right, but in that case, you have to argue that there's more than one truth, and like that's
Yes.
not. There's no like absolute truth,
They're
which
like,
I
no.
don't think is something that they're ready to do.
Space Case is kind of a spoiler. Yes, it's a spoiler. Not really, because at this point, it's not like they hooked up or anything. So if they like each other, it's not really. Because that's something that you go, I'm not surprised. See, there you go. I find spoilers where you go, what? Like, you're surprised to learn that information. If it's something where you're like, oh, okay, whatever.
Well, let's put it this way. I hang out with Kari, obviously, every week talking about the show. If all of a sudden she were to come to me and she says, which she's done before, she says, oh my God, I know what happens. Do you want me to tell you? I'm like, no, okay, no. Sorry. Because if she knows that someone died, like,
I won't tell you that. No way.
Oh, hell no. Like, that is spoiler central. So I'm okay with knowing a little bit of background. And because, again, we might not have all read the books. So there you go. So that's just a fun fact.
Not going to happen in the show anyway, so that it doesn't really
or
matter.
It's something that they might
terms of that.
not have time to cover. So yeah, you're totally right. Yeah.
Gosh, guys. And Bobbie is essentially a prisoner, which yay. Now, Aaron, right? Anybody's opinion change of him on this episode? Not me. Let
me tell you what I think of him now, okay? Because obviously I didn't have very positive feelings towards him in the past.
Sure.
Now I think that he got scared out of his pants. Mm-hmm. So he's like, oh crap, I need to come clean because this is gonna literally blow up in my face. So to be honest, to me, it is a little brave because you do have to come clean and admit that, but at the same time, I also think it's a little cowardly because you were going behind her back this whole time, not coming clean, doing your own operation with Mao, just saying.
Yep.
So I don't like it. I don't like him.
I like that you essentially had a pun because you're like, he was so scared, and then you said crap in the next sentence.
Totally.
We make silly jokes here too, guys.
I pun it.
So Captain Martins is the chaplain. Oh yes, now it makes more sense. I remember she's like, oh yeah, the chaplain. She's like, I didn't request this, and so
yeah.
Thank you.
You mean the one that goes in?
Yeah, the one
Bobbie?
who talked to her. Because I remember now. I'm like, oh yeah, that's who he was, but I just couldn't recall his name.
Who's also going to get the crap kicked out of him next episode.
Hope so.
By the way, if you guys saw the previews for next episode,
so happy.
So excited.
Stark Targaryen says, nope, Mr. Enright is still a douche. Agree.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
I agree. It's just not.
Yeah. Then we have the Holden, Naomi, and they're interviewing the doctor we kind of talked about. And they're like, well, this isn't quite like Eros. And that's when we also find out that the hydroponics have been tampered with and essentially that Ganymede is dead. Kind of.
You know the thing, going back to the thing about Eros, it's like, it is almost scarier, Ganymede. Because Eros, it was kind of blatant. It was like,
and fast
and all over the place, and literally it was like ultimate. So this is just kind of a big question mark.
Slow crawl death.
Exactly. And it's also a big question mark about like where, May is and essentially what the hell is happening with the proto-molecule? Where is it at? Like, what is it even around? Like, it's just a big, big, big question mark. And obviously the thing of the vac suit, it's they don't know about that.
Yes.
But it's just a huge question mark. So to me, that really instills a lot of fear because it's unpredictable.
Oh, yeah. It's one of those you don't know where it's going, and it's just this slow, like, wait, what's going on? Yeah, and they find out we need to find Bassa, who, we meet the friend Basha. I thought they called him more like Basha.
Yeah, I think Basha. That's what I heard.
And then they're like, go use Roma and bring chicken. Which we meet Roma, we'll jump to him, and it's you need chicken to get what you want, which I'm like, all right, and he has this stash, and they're all not cool with it. But of course, Amos is like, well, this dude, and beats the shit out of him, which I was kind of okay with. When he explained himself later, I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with that, because he didn't, Prax is all, well, you didn't kill, you could have killed him. He's like, well, I didn't kill him.
I know, but to me it's a little scary just because it was kind of like this unpredictable reaction that could have cost them a lot of information.
Yeah.
So.
The artifact says Amos found a fun way to open the can he was eating from.
Dude, I agree with you 100%.
I hadn't thought of it that way, but that's a good point.
Funny.
Yeah, and it's just one of those...
A little bit unsanitary.
That kind of person you can't, reason with. Because even Naomi's just like, this is... How do we have a guarantee that you're going to give us this information?
I think Amos quickly knew that the language that they would both speak was violence. Yes. And that would be the way to understand each other. So in a way, you can't really blame him. They got what they wanted. If they would have kept talking to him, who knows how long it would have taken and who knows what he would have potentially tried to,
Exactly.
I don't know. So I do think that they found a common language.
Yeah. They do the face searching, jumping, because I'm like, well, since we're on them. And Naomi, I like how she points out, though, that every shitty thing that they've been doing just makes it a little easier to do the next thing.
Yeah.
Which is true. It is one of those once you're becoming desensitized.
A little bit.
But they're in a more violent area now. Like, what they're doing isn't just, can't quite do just peace talks. No, you don't need to kill them, but...
No, of course, death not always the option, but the stakes are so high at this point that I'm just like, it's got to be that way.
Yes, absolutely. Chill68 said Amos is a waste not, want not. Right? And Space K says, and justifies the means? I think so.
I think
in
so.
In this case, yeah.
That's exactly what we were saying. You know what? Look, that's the way he was going to get the information. So if he had to bash the can against his head, go for it.
Yeah,
go for it.
Dragon Artist, good question. Since Holden was cool with Amos doing it, do you think he was waiting for Amos to jump in on that negotiation?
I think at this point, let me just venture out a little kind of... I think they work as a unit now in a weird way. So obviously, Alex is off on the ship and now Prax has kind of taken this weird kind of place, I guess. But I do think they work as a unit. So subconsciously, I do think that maybe Holden on some level was expecting that because they do kind of understand where everybody fits in.
Yeah.
He's manpower.
Yeah. What do you think of this, though? And I it's a good thought, but we can talk about it. Killian in the chat says, on the other hand, hard to believe that our guys were the first to beat the IT guy up. Well, on Ganymede, pretty much everyone there is sick, dying, weak. I think all the strong people have left if they could. So who's left are essentially the rejects, kind of they're not the able-bodied people, or they're just scared out of their mind that that's not something they might get to that point of getting desperation.
Yeah.
Or they're just gonna be too weak to even try.
Yeah.
But I kind of wondered that. I'm like, really? Nobody else tried to rough him up?
Well, yeah, because he's kind of taking...
But Amos is a little special that he would be quick to do that. Not everybody is okay, this is what I need to do.
Of course, and you saw, this is obviously different because there was a woman in there before who was saying, please, I need to feed my kids or whatnot, something like that along the lines. So everybody's reaction is going to be different. Yeah. But Amos is just, quick.
Ganymede people are just, Killian says, Ganymede people are just that nice and polite. They give chicken but don't people up to get things for free. No, they do their different stuff to get. I don't think it was for free. That lady came out essentially naked.
Yes,
so,
I don't think
I don't think it was for free.
Yeah.
That was, side note, in the book, Prax talks to him on his own because he was there by himself before the team got there.
I see.
So, but I was telling Maria beforehand, I like the idea of the team being there and talking to Amos. Amos talking to Roma. Yes.
Yeah,
I think that's very entertaining.
Yeah, I think that's good. And then plus Prax, other kind of little moment where he goes off by himself. So I think it works out. Yeah.
And then also the moment too for Amos when he's like, I don't like bullies, and he gives the explanation of the prostitution, and I feel that's maybe a moment explaining Amos's history, that he is one of those kids of a prostitute.
Yeah, because we
had that earlier episode in season 1.
Yes, something about like a brothel or something like that. I'm not remembering it super clearly right now, but I do remember hearing that, and that's where my mind went to immediately. I was thinking backstory, kind of little tidbit here.
Yes. So I liked hearing that, though, because that was a nice explanation. And I felt it was a justification where he's like, bullies like that, sometimes you have to fight them. That's like kids getting beaten up. If the bully keeps doing that to you, sometimes you have to fight back, and that's the only way they'll stop.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you do have to do some pushback.
Yes. Then we get Prax finding that hidden door and explains the Cascade. At first, I was totally getting ready to write a note of like, Cascade is... And I'm like, oh, this is a really long explanation. I like it, but there's no way I'm going to write that all down. But essentially, I wrote diversity in terms of keeping an ecosystem alive. So if one thing fails, it's just kind of this cascade of all these other things failing.
Well, and in Mars or on Ganymede, they don't have the luxury of like Earth, where it is an ecosystem and it just works.
And something else could fix it, replace it, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
And essentially, we said, like, the station's dead already.
But okay, so let me see, let's talk about this, because I'm not really sure if maybe it was just me or what. Sure. But so they were getting filtered with distilled water. Yes. So I'm assuming that somebody's doing that. Is it like an on purpose thing, or is it because that's all they have left? That was my question.
I wondered. I couldn't tell if it was a nefarious thing that someone was doing, and Prax is like, this is weird that someone's doing this, or if it was they're just out of resources. I was unclear. Leave that comments down below, guys, and if you're live in the chat, what do you think? Was this done?
If anyone has any ideas, because I couldn't figure out. I'm like, does that mean it's on purpose? Does that mean that's all they have left and it is going to eventually die because it's just not sustainable anymore like that? I don't know.
It's like, it's hard. Oh, cool. Now I know the artist. Good job, guys. Thanks. Alex, we get to that fun part. Oh, well, okay, back on that. Hold on. Pause. Cold Cut says, so was the protogen purposefully piping distilled water to the plants? I don't know. That's kind of what we're wondering, is if a organization, person, thing,
someone
was doing that actively to destroy the station, or if just the station is out of resources and that's all they had left.
And I mean,
don't know.
Considering obviously what we know, which we'll talk about in a second about the weapon and all that stuff, and about the mirrors.
I would kind of disagree. Jack Teague says, or those left just don't know water is water. Well, not necessarily, because Prax points out that the distilled water doesn't have the nutrients needed for the plants and they're dying.
Right, and he's probably not the only botanist that's left there.
So
I feel like they would know. So I personally have a feeling that it's intentional.
Yeah.
Which I don't like, but that's what I think.
I wonder. I could be very 50-50 on that. I'm like,
I mean, it can go either way, but I kind of think it might be an intentional thing, which is very scary.
Yes. Then we have Alex on the ship, and so I was going to say in the chat, thank you to Okami. Says, I love the scene with Alex getting drunk listening to Hank Williams. And I'm saying thank you because I'm like, thank you. I didn't know who the artist was.
That's funny.
That was so fun. And the country singing and drunk, and he's just so bored. But then, oh shit, the alarms go off.
Oh, but let me tell you something. Yes. Hold up here, because Kari's acting all cool over here. But as we're watching the episode outside, kind of like rewatching the end, she's like, oh no, don't tell me he's going to try and use a gun inside the ship. So she was like freaking out that was going to happen. Which is totally, it did it. But it was very cute to see, because she was just like, oh my God.
He was getting his gun out. I'm like, oh, please don't shoot a gun off in the ship or something like that. And I'm like, please don't. But no, he was just... But I love the visuals, too, of him floating and then drinking the floating. Oh, that was such a random...
And you were like, he's just so bored. And I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
I know. He must be so bored.
Yeah. A nice creative alleviation of the tension is very funny and like, wait, what? But it makes sense. He would get bored on the ship.
100%. And he's by himself. But although it is kind of like a funny little, less tense moment before he gets the alert that any ship that has not been cleared, right, will be shot on... on site. essentially.
Breeze in the chat says, finally, it seems no one is reviewing or breaking down the series. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for watching. We love the show just as much as you and all, so we love talking about it and thinking about it way too much on certain things. But yes, of course, as soon as you're having fun, somebody has to cock block them and be like, no fly zone. MCRN is like, we will shoot you all down. And he's like, crap.
I know. Literally, he's having such a great time listening to Hank Williams, just like rolling in space.
Beer thing, and then like, oh shit.
I know. It was actually really great. That's why we always comment on the visual effects, because they are very, very fun.
And I believed it. Like, yeah, that actually a thing I almost thought he was going to do instead of the flip was to do the staircase and like walk down it almost that way. Yeah. Or get the alcohol in the air like that instead of flipping and then getting it. But either way, I thought it was so fun and beautiful to watch, of just like, this is such realistic. Like, you go, you don't go, oh, that's just cheap effects or whatever. You're like, no, that looks so real.
No, it's this show is great with the effects.
Yes. Then we have, Roma, yes. They found May's on camera, and she's over in the oldest part of the station, but they don't know what that is.
And they also don't have any more footage available further in, so. Sketcharelli.
Then we have, so the other, I think I must have wrote it. That's what it was. I skipped a page.
We're missing Bobbie.
Yes. Well, I do have the Bobbie bit, but I had the last little thing was the Aaron Wright admitting that he, there it is. Yeah. I felt he was selling out Mao, and then admitting to some of it made it seem like, oh, okay, like, don't hate me so much.
Yeah.
And I don't really, I think he was scared, but I don't know how sincere he really is. Yeah. But Avasarala's point that she's like, she thinks he's changed. All right, fine. But how he'd be more useful in her hands instead of in jail. I get that.
Yeah. No, you gotta, she's working the system, and she's playing the game, and that's perfectly fine, because that makes perfect sense. That's what I would do, because what good is it to have him locked away when you can use him to your advantage?
Yes.
Clearly he's been doing whatever he wants this whole time, even though she kind of knew about it. But I think he did get scared, literally. Yes. I do think he got scared, because
it seemed a little bit.
As soon as it kind of like goes out of our normal comfort zone and people start dying and stuff like that, it's scary.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's like, hold up, maybe Mao needs to take a check, you know?
TM Martin says, where the hell is Jules Pierre Mao? And do we think that Aaron Wright knows where Mao is right now?
I'm gonna say he doesn't.
Okay.
Because, I mean, he kind of sold him out.
And then this is where I'm not sure either, because this changed so much from the books. Like, that doesn't really happen that way.
Right.
I'm like, there's other stuff with Mao later, but I'm not sure it's going to go that way, especially because Bobbie to Avasarala connecting is different than the books as well.
Right.
But I'm liking how they're doing it in the show. It's one of those, I understand what they're trying to achieve with the show, and I think they're doing a good job compared to, I like the books as well, but it's one of those, since the show is where it is.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Anyway, hopefully that does make sense. Where to go? I really good point. Thank you, Bad Bunny. The gun had a laser range finder. Alex was getting his range to jump. That makes way more sense.
Yeah,
because I was like, I didn't quite get that.
Yeah, I forgot about that, but that is right. He's just measuring like the distance.
Okay, he didn't want to just be like, surprise.
It's okay.
So,
I at first I thought the same thing. I'm just like, what's he doing? But then I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Then we get Bobbie meeting the drug dealer, Nico, and wants her drugs, essentially, to help her out, but he wants to help others, which was like, aw.
Yeah, he was kind of like a weird magician.
He was cool. Disappeared. Then I was like, wait, is he real?
Also, for 1 second, let's talk about that fall. That was a nasty fall.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Going back to that. Oh, that was a bad fall, too. That was, ow. Ooh.
I love, though, how she, like, falls dead on her, like, side, just really, like, just a boonk, you know. I would have been knocked out for several minutes. She just got right back up and kept going.
Yeah, everyone in the chat was kind of like, dude, she's so tough, and got right up. Well, yes, I was impressed.
She is
tough Martian.
She can't walk for crap on Earth yet, but she can fall off like 5 stories, roll off a couple like tin roofs.
Cool. It's fine.
And
so good stunt work too. Like that looked like a good, impressive fall. Like how they shot it, how the person did it.
It looked painful.
Yeah,
it did.
Which is like, And what was also? Oh yes. So, but it was cool though that Bobbie finally gets to see that Earth isn't the, lazy people that she expects it to be, of like, no, they have slums as well. They don't have like, it's not.
There's pain, there's suffering. It's like there's a whole reality behind it. It's not so idyllic.
That was the other side note. I was like, okay, I understand Bobbie taking off her uniform, but she's a very practical person. Except for the pure visual that she looked gorgeous with her hair down, there was no reason to take her hair down.
No, I know.
If I'm going to escape, I want my hair back out of my face so I can, like, function better.
I mean, realistically, at some point, it would come up. I totally agree with you.
Get that hair tie and be like...
But hey.
I think they just did it for visual.
Totally.
Hey, I'm that person, though, that watch superhero movies, and anytime a girl's hair is down, I'm like, no.
No, I agree with you. It really...
I can't tie my shoes with my hair down in my face. There's no way I would, like...
unless my hair is, like, for something where it needs to be down or styled, I have it up, bun, ponytail, whatever you want to call it, because it's just out of the way.
Yeah.
100%.
But then there's other good shows and movies where they do have their hair pulled back. So
totally.
saying.
Totally.
But she did look gorgeous. That was nice to see a change for her, though, because I don't think we've really seen her hair, like, styled. And at first I'm like, wow, her hair's really curled for just, like, taking out that bun. But then I'm like, that's what my hair does, too, so.
I know, but Kari's
not
lucky.
quite those.
Because mine does a weird kind of crimple frizz. But she's very lucky.
Yeah, I think, I noticed those weird things. Oh, so, our artifact says Vasaralla's costume design is top notch. Yes, I loved her sari in this one. The long sleeve and the low sling, which is so great.
They're very beautiful. We constantly bring it up on the show because it's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
There's one in particular that I still remember very well, but
it's just so pretty.
It's just so good.
Then we have Bobbie finally getting into the ocean. That was so sweet and like, oh, and I think it would probably blow your mind because there are people here even. I don't know where you all are watching this, but people here in the U.S. who, you know, haven't been to the ocean or something like that. We're in Southern California, but similar to Vasaralla, probably don't go there as often as people who have never been here would go. I like just knowing the ocean's there. I don't have to go all the time, but I like to know it's there.
Me too. Because, I mean, I've been in Los Angeles for 8 years, and I've been not that much. Actually, a good amount, but not too much.
Here and there. I go to the beach. Not that much, yeah. Then... Killian says, thanks for sharing those escaping tips, Kari. Yes,
Gotta have your hair up.
Well, we had another show, too, and I was explaining where someone was trying to kill somebody. I'm like, well, you would do it underneath the nail so they don't see the stab because it was like a pinprick something.
Right.
And my partner was like, how? I'm like, I've seen enough movies and shows.
Kari thinks about this on her spare time.
I think about a lot of this stuff. People are liking Vasaralla's shoes. I don't think I noticed her shoes so much.
Me either, but I'm going to pay attention next time. And see
I love her outfits, always.
And her hair.
Always on point. Oh, but then we get the Vasaralla moment where she's explaining it's a new weapon. It was tested by Mars. I don't know if I believe that.
And it's called Project Caliban. That's what it said. I had to pause it to look at it.
I don't think I saw that. Good to know.
And then it said something hybrid. I forgot because I looked at it, but it said something about like a hybrid.
Yes.
And it's got the. I think it's got the proto-molecule. That's all I'm saying. I don't think it's necessarily by Mars specifically. It might be just Mao. I don't know.
Yeah. And then Vasaralla makes a good point that we can't afford to be enemies right now. Yes. So, a couple quick predictions.
Oh my gosh.
Do you have anything?
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I don't know if I have anything specific this time because I'm just kind of like watching everything unfold and I'm really enjoying it. But I do think, and I will stand by this, now that part of my theory has kind of gone out the window because they're not really like aliens, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, or they could be, you know what I'm saying? Actually, I don't know. I'm going to stick by my theory. I think that these are obviously made with proto-molecule and they might be some sort of other being. It's like an army.
I don't know if I believe Mars did the attack.
No, I think it might be. Well, I mean, Mao was working on this project, so I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be crazy if it's like Earth. Crazy.
Yeah. We'll find out later.
I don't. Other than that, nothing. I'm just excited to watch the show because it's just blowing my mind.
Any other thoughts?
No.
Okay. Cool. What other shows can people find you on, and where can they find you online?
At Maria Cavassuto on Twitter and Instagram. I'm not doing any other shows at the moment because I'm super busy. But please join Kari because she does a bunch of them.
Well, they can follow you online and see all the other awesome stuff you do.
Oh, yeah. I do cover red carpets and I go to cool events and stuff like that. So if you want some updates, just follow me on Twitter and Instagram. That's usually where I post my stuff.
there you go. Awesome. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give the episode 5 stars. It's 10 because we're just that awesome. 5 stars on iTunes. Comment down below what you thought of the episode. Thumbs up. And you can find me online at Kari D. Lane, and I will be at WonderCon this weekend, so make sure to follow me of all posts of all that kind of stuff. And again, check out Espionage Cosmetics. They got really cool nail wraps and makeup, and it's like nerd inspired, so it's really cool. Again, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.